Hello everyone, it's the VenomXenomorph and welcome back to another episode on the channel. Today is a very different episode. We're going to be exploring the more Venom side of my channel. I am not called the VenomXenomorph for no reason. I've been talking a lot about Alien, and I feel like now that I have a break on Alien, I can finally start talking about Venom, which could either go really well or could bite me right in the...
Ooh, it's terrible but wonderful at the same time. It's like freedom in the cup!
Anywho, back to the topic at hand. So, we got a new Venom 2 teaser trailer leak from El Loco de los Comics, who is a Spanish channel, if you couldn't tell by the channel name. And the description was in English, which there have been a lot of videos circulating around a Venom trailer teaser that was in Russian, that was translated to English through Google Translate, and I feel like there was a lot lost in translation in that. Google Translate is not the best thing to translate Russian to English. Not to mention the Russian leak could be completely pointless. There could be nothing that came out of that trailer that's completely true. Now this English description looks a lot more promising. I'm going to read this to you now. So the trailer opens with Venom saving a woman from a mugger. We know this is definitely accurate already because in the cast for IMDb, there's a woman that is reported as mug victim or like crime victim, and then there's a guy cast as a mugger. We hear Eddie's voice say, "Oh geez, we're scaring her, do something." Venom replies with, "Do what?" And Eddie yells at him, "Smile," which... already, I feel like Venom already kind of does smile like 99.9% of the time, the way his teeth just hangs out. And he turns to the woman and smiles, and she faints, and Eddie yells back at him, "Not like that." I feel like that's going to be super hilarious, not to mention very much an homage to how the first movie went. The first film was kind of like it was semi-dark because, you know, you had Venom eating people, but it was kind of like a buddy cop movie. It was super funny. There were a lot of hilarious moments in between Venom and Eddie that were just really goofy, and it matched the character well in terms of how he behaved in the comics. Not every single comic at Marvel portrayed Venom as this dark and brooding character. There was a time during the Lethal Protector storyline, which is what the first movie was based off of mostly, that he was kind of comedic in between. He found morbid, dark humor out of what he was doing in San Francisco and stuff. But anyway, back to the trailer description. So, trailer cuts to Eddie interviewing a homeless woman whose sister was apparently murdered. Then, right after that, it cuts to Eddie interviewing Cletus Cassidy in his cell again. I'm assuming that this is not Eddie's similar trip to actually no, I take it back. This could be how it ties into the first film. That after credits scene was kind of out of nowhere, but it was perfect because of its hint towards Carnage, and showing Cletus Cassidy in the asylum. Now, I'm kind of going off on my own rail here, but I personally think that the trip that is taking place in this cut of the trailer, where he goes to interview Cletus, is the same scene or same time that Eddie goes to visit him in at the end or mid-credits scene of Venom. But enough of me ranting about that. I'm going to keep going. So we cut to Eddie interviewing Cletus in his cell, mentions the sister's name of the homeless woman, Marla, and asks Cletus if he could disclose the body's location to give her family closure. Cletus laughs, then tells Eddie he'll personally take her family to meet her soon enough. If there's anyone here that's like doesn't know what that means, basically, like, I doubt that you don't know what it means, but basically what he's trying to say is he's going to go back and kill them too. Cut ahead to Eddie at a church where he's talking to a woman who's helping feed the homeless. He says he wishes he could do more to help, and the woman replies, apparently her name is Becky, according to Eddie. She replies saying that if he can find justice for what Cletus Cassidy did to all the homeless people he murdered, it would be enough. It cuts once ahead again to a police station where Cletus is imprisoned. I'm assuming he escapes prison at some point, going on another murder spree. I'm pretty sure that's what this church visit is. Is he's going to go figure out what just happened, probably because Cletus broke out. So he's at a new police station. Eddie is too close to Cletus' cell, staring him down angrily as the police try to, and the image kind of cuts it off, but get him back and yell at him to stand back, I'm assuming is what it says. Cletus smiles and reaches out, grabbing Eddie and pinning him against the bars as a hostage. The police point their guns at Eddie and Cletus, and Eddie whispers to Cletus that he's made a big mistake. Suddenly, Venom morphs out of Eddie and into the cell with Cletus. So, I'm assuming that means that the symbiote, because, please note, Venom is his own person. He is a separate entity. It is not Venom is Eddie Brock with superpowers. Venom is an alien entity with his own mindset. He was barely kept in control at the end of the first movie by Eddie when he was trying to tell when Eddie was trying to tell Venom that all he could hurt was bad people. Venom wanted to basically bite everybody's heads off. He didn't really care what anybody thought. He wanted to do what he wanted to do, and Eddie told him just to do it to bad people. Now, I feel like Venom would probably use this, which is probably what he's doing here, as an excuse. Cletus is a very bad man. Cletus is a serial killer. And as a bad man, Venom probably believes he has the right to bite his head off, especially if it means defending his host, defending Eddie. So, as I was saying, Venom morphs outside of Eddie and into the cell with Cletus, so I'm assuming Eddie's still on the right side of the bars, like, away from Cletus, outside of the cell, but the symbiote has separated and is standing in front of Cletus and is, like, ready to eat him. Eddie is yelling at Venom to stop and at the police to hold their fire. Venom is about to chomp down on Cletus when the police open fire at Venom. Which, real quick, why would you do that? If you, I'm pretty sure they had no idea Venom even existed, in terms of with Eddie or anything like that, and probably wanted to keep Cletus alive so that way Eddie could keep questioning him. But at the same time, like, based on the beginning part of this teaser trailer, I'm assuming that Venom has been around doing heroic things for a while now, so his appearance should not be so shocking to these security guys, to me, anyway. Venom is about to chomp down on Cletus when the police open fire at Venom, hitting Eddie in the process. Venom scoops Eddie up in his arms and busts out of the station, so he breaks out of the police station. A piece of the symbiote behind seeps into a gunshot wound on Cletus. I feel like the image is getting kind of cut off there. A piece of the symbiote, like, probably says it fell off, which would make sense if you are getting shot at over and over and over again with bullets. Regardless of if you're an alien symbiote, something's going to detach. And Venom is also not really paying attention to gathering himself together as much as he is just trying to get Eddie out of there because Eddie just got shot. The symbiote falls from behind, seeps into a gunshot wound on Cletus, who escapes from his busted cell. Which does not mean the immediate rise of Carnage. This is the symbiote flake, or the symbiote piece, falling off of Venom and attaching itself to Cletus Cassidy. The Carnage persona has not been born yet. The cell was destroyed when Venom was in his rampage getting Eddie out, I think. That's what I get from this. That's what I believe. It's very much, very, 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 very much similar to the original comics and the Maximum Carnage storyline. In the original comics, Eddie Brock is in prison for his crimes as Venom, for his bad guy routine, you know? And he, what's it called? He finally reattaches to the symbiote because for some reason him and the symbiote were separated. I can't remember why. Um, they reattach together and he breaks out of the cell. And Cletus Cassidy happened to be his cellmate. And during the breakout, a piece of the Venom symbiote was like torn off, like kind of like how you scrape your arm against something sharp on a wall or something. Venom scraped himself along something and lost a piece of him, which attached itself to a cut in Cletus Cassidy's hand. Now, this very clearly is different. It was completely different in the first movie because there was no Spider-Man origin. They did not quite have the rights to Spider-Man back yet, but the Carnage origin sounds almost straight from comic. It sounds perfect. I also like, before I go into the second half of this description, I also feel like it's getting a little bit more dark. I feel like this movie is, reading this description, I'm feeling like it's gonna stay PG-13. It's not overly horrid, but it is still pretty dark. But this second part makes me feel like they're leaning harder into where the R rating is, because Carnage, as you may know from the comics, is a much more brutal character than Venom ever was. Venom has bitten people's heads off and everything. Carnage doesn't do that, or at least not that I've seen. He doesn't eat somebody's head off with reason, okay? Like, Venom, the reason why he eats heads, if you didn't know, there's a chemical that is made in the brain. It's a real chemical that is also found in tater tots and chocolate, which is why in the Venom movie you see towards the end when he's at Mrs. Chen's shop, Venom requests to eat tater tots and chocolate on the menu tonight, and is because that same chemical is made is an ingredient within those two food groups, which is a super weird fact, but it is true. It is a real life chemical. Like, I'm showing you right now, it's a real chemical. It is in tater tots and chocolate, and it does develop in the human brain. It's really weird. But anyway, let's get into the second part. So from the cell where Cletus escapes from the busted cell after Venom and Eddie escape the police station, it cuts ahead to a scene of children and adults walking the streets of San Francisco in Halloween costumes. A news reporter voices over saying a Halloween horror story, dangerous serial killer Cletus Cassidy has escaped police custody. Eddie walks up the stairs to the same church, I'm assuming, in the rain, super serious, and saying it's my fault he's out there, killing people. Now I gotta do the right thing. Eddie falls from the Transmerica Pyramid Tower, morphing into Venom. No, we have to do the right thing, says Venom. Now, I can't remember what the Transmerica Pyramid Tower is. I take it back. I know exactly what it is. It is a giant, it's a very elongated pyramid building in San Francisco. It's kind of like the Empire State Building of San Francisco. It is the 8th largest building in the world. I know it's not important for me at all to run through these facts at all, but I felt like it was worth it. Eddie falls from the Transamerica Pyramid Tower, morphing into Venom, saying, no, we have to do the right thing. I'm assuming Venom feels super guilty because I think he knows. I think earlier, like, the symbiotes are an alien and sentient race, but they also slightly have a hive mind. They are connected to Null, which is the symbiote god. They all kind of have a awareness of each other. Venom did not even have to see Riot to know that he was here. When it was leading towards the end, when Eddie saw Riot for the first time, and he reattaches to the Venom symbiote later, Venom knew, like, the one that is with the Life Foundation, Drake, is Riot. Like, he had awareness of what the situation was. So I feel like he, during this whole film, leaving the point where he leaves a part of him behind for Cletus to become Carnage, will know that he accidentally reproduced and created this monster. So he feels guilty just as much as Eddie does. Cue in the Venom 2 logo, which we don't know what that looks like yet. And then it cuts after that saying Cletus parks a red car, now sporting the new haircut and red Hawaiian shirt as seen in the set photos, which have been leaked a while back. I won't show those because if you haven't seen them, it's super easy to look them up. Cletus's voiceover says, "I made a promise, didn't I? When I got out." Then it pauses for a minute and goes back to the scene at hand. A police officer approaches the car as Cletus gets out, telling him he can't park there. Cletus turns to the officer with a smile and says, "Trick or treat." Then the officer pulls a gun on him, recognizing Cletus, and Cletus waves his hands as he brings them up. Red and black tendrils snake up his arm, and the officer shoots him, but Cletus tangles him in a tendril. His other hand morphs into a red blade, saying, "Trick it is." And then Cletus slashes at the officer's throat, and then it cuts to black, saying, "There will be carnage." Or, "There's gonna be carnage," sorry. That is the most Carnage thing you can ever have Carnage do. Like that is perfect in terms of a film adaptation of Carnage. And I know Woody Harrelson as an actor knows how to get crazy. So I have no doubts that this is going to be a fantastic depiction of the Carnage character. I think it is the first time ever there has been a film adaptation of Carnage. Like, this Venom movie was the second adaptation of Venom. We are not even going to mention the first film he was in because I hated that Venom. But this Venom did a much better job in terms of representing who Venom was and how he looked and how he sounded, and just everything about Venom was perfect. I feel like they're going to do the same thing here. The only thing I worry about is that Venom has a few very, very isolating traits that I feel like are in doubt here. The first thing is, while the Venom symbiote on Eddie makes his voice deeper, Carnage is the opposite. It makes his voice higher pitched and like crazier. And at the same time, not only is his voice higher pitched, but he has this maniacal laugh that is like super recognizable. If you heard the Carnage laugh, you would know who it is from a mile away. It is scary. It is intimidating and scary, but at the same time, it is high pitched, and you can recognize it whenever you hear it. That's what worries me. That's what makes me feel that's the only stuff that I have in doubt in terms of what's going to happen with the Carnage character is whoever voices him. If they do the same thing where Eddie or Tom Hardy voiced both Eddie and Venom, and I keep forgetting the main actor's name who did Carlton Drake in the first Venom movie. He voiced both Carlton Drake and Riot. If they keep that going along and they have Woody Harrelson voice Carnage, they gotta mess with his voice a little bit, because Woody Harrelson can get a high-pitched voice. It's possible, but at the same time, the laugh is going to be extremely hard to pull off. And that laugh, I feel like, is such a recognizable thing. They got to have him laugh quite a few times in this film. In fact, just for your guys' sake, I'm going to add the Carnage laugh right here.
Who are you? Your offspring. Offspring? Yes, we recall replicating. Our flame-headed friend sent us to get this. Call us Carnage. Carnage? There's another symbiote? Sorry to interrupt the reunion, We hoped we'd run into you again. You know me? Cassidy! Think of the damage we can do now, man!
But yeah, that's kind of all this thing says. I feel like this is the most accurate trailer description leak we have so far. The Russian one I feel like is okay. I don't usually. It's not that I don't trust it at all. It's just that I feel like there's a lot of factors here that can make this a not true leak. But the one that I just read to you, the English one, that was from the El Loco de los Comics channel, is far more like, it sounds a lot more like a Venom teaser trailer, and it sounds a lot more like a trailer in general. You don't want to show too much of Carnage because he's supposed to be the main surprise and like shock factor of this film, because he is the main villain. You don't want to show too much, and I feel like the Russian description showed way too much Carnage and not enough Venom, and that would really suck. That's not how a trailer for a protagonist works. Like it's called Venom. It's not called Carnage. It's called Venom 2. And if you're gonna make a Venom 2 movie, then you gotta show a lot of your main character in your trailer. And if there's a lot of Carnage instead of Venom, then the movie is not about Venom, is it? It's similar to what happened with Avengers Infinity War. It wasn't really an Avengers movie, it was a Thanos movie. Endgame was an Avengers movie, absolutely, but Infinity War was more of a Thanos movie. There was a lot more Thanos screen time than any other Avenger combined on that film. Not to mention, it focused a lot more on what Thanos' plot was. I feel like that's going to be. I feel like that is not where Venom 2 is going. I feel like Venom 2 is going to be more Avengers Endgame, where it's going to focus more on the heroes, but the bad guy is a bad guy and is a big deal. They're not shrugging him off. They're not going to kill him at the end of this. I feel like Carnage is going to be a recurring villain, because I feel like when they killed off Riot, it made sense. Riot is not a big symbiote character. He is one of the Life Foundation symbiotes, which makes sense. And the Life Foundation symbiotes had a team of 5, and Riot was just one of them. But Carnage was he's way bigger. He has been in way more comics with Venom alongside. He is just a big bad, and a total Avengers level threat. Even though this isn't technically that universe. So I feel like they're not going to kill Carnage off as much as they're going to just imprison him. But it definitely feels good to know that the Carnage character is being held strong and held powerfully. I can't believe I've ranted on for like 23 minutes-ish on Venom. That's interesting how like my Alien videos usually run 10 minutes-ish, but Venom took double. I find that really weird, but at the same time, I know that I haven't done a Venom video like ever on this channel, so the fact that I need to make up for it now is, I guess it deserves a longer video. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you watched it all the way through, what do you think of the Venom 2 trailer leak? This one, not the Russian one, or maybe both. Which do you think they're both crazy? Do you think they're both correct, and one of them is just like sweet toothing it? Do you feel like there's some details that I'm missing here, or do you feel like I'm spot on? Please let me know in the comments down below. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video, whatever that may be. I feel like now that I finally have the wiggle room for some Venom news, I feel like I'm going to live up more to the channel name. So, yeah. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye!
Come along now. Run away from the humdrum. We'll go to a place that is safe from